Hello. So today I'm privileged to meet Sue Peterson.
Good morning. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Sue. It's lovely to have you here, and we've got lots of exciting things to talk about. So I think we will kick off, if we may. My first question is, I believe you're a life member of the RAD. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and what it means?
Well, I'm very proud to be a life member of the Royal Academy of Dance, and I have been involved with the Royal Academy since I was probably around about 8 years old. I still have my certificates for my primary and grade 1, which were quite different in those days, and people of a slightly older age might remember too. You got them on the day, I think, or day after, and the certificate and the remarks were all on the same sort of leaflet page. And I'm very proud of that. And I've been involved. I then went to Elmhurst Ballet School, where eventually we did our elementary, etc. Went into RAD exams. After I started teaching, I decided that I was wanting to start teaching, and a friend of mine, Sue Robinson, who had a wonderful ballet school in Byfleet, helped me on the way in the beginning, and I started off through the Royal Academy of Dance syllabus, and I've been teaching that ever since. And I'm passionate about that. I do believe in the attainable goals that we have through all the grades and the vocational as well, and how differently they are for different children or students. And so, yes, I'm very proud of being a life member. And I'm very happy that, just quickly to mention, talking about the RAD, is that Tim Arthur, who's the new chief executive, has written a very nice foreword for my book, which was very nice. So I'm very happy to be involved. And, I visited the new global headquarters about 4 or 5 times, and it's really lovely if you haven't been yet.
Okay, yes, I'm going up there. I've been asked to teach seated there in half term. So
okay, brilliant.
So that is a big one for me. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's go on to the next question, which is adults on point. Now, this causes a bit of controversy, doesn't it, Sue? Because it's whether or not the dancers have enough technical strength and ability to go on point, especially adults. But it's getting quite massive on social media platforms. So could you tell us your thoughts, what you think about adults going on point, and any tips about that?
Okay, I think there are different aspects to adults going on point. As far as Silver Swans is concerned, we do have some who are under 55, but mostly we're over 55, and some, I have one lady of 92. So, and some of them haven't ever danced before. And and then I have another group who are slightly more advanced, who've done a little dancing before. And they love what they're doing. And we have a lot of background information going on through the class, not just the class. And we have groups going to different ballets, etc. But for point work, when you're training, when children are training, young people are training, we do a lot of specific exercises. They have to have been dancing for a certain amount of time, training properly. Then they need to be doing special metatarsal exercises with their toes, and take a lot of time to consider that and to work up the strength in the particular aspects that they need, abdominal and back, of course, etc. It's always a dream for a lot of children to go on point, but we do have to keep in mind that it's got to be safe for them. Now, I think that there are certain adults who are of a younger age, perhaps, or have danced previously and who have the knowledge and strength to be able to go on point again after maybe stopping for a while, after they've built up their strength again. But from the safety point of view, we've got to be really careful and think about that. Is it a good thing? And certainly for the Silver Swans that I teach personally, I just don't think it would be an option. There may be one person that I could imagine who's danced quite a lot in the past, who would need to have special lessons anyway, that would be specifically for that, and there would have to be the training towards doing it, and then making sure you went with them to fit the point shoes, etc., to make sure that it's all very safe and ribbons are sewn on the right place, which is one of my things, and darned as well, of course. But that's all the thing that I like to have. But from the point of view of safety, I wouldn't be an immediate advocate from the point of view of the Silver Swans that I teach, but I could see that there would be other people who may have people who, as I say, have danced in the past and understand the knowledge that's needed for that. So that's really my aspect. And also, our feet change when we get older. And some of my ladies was one. We've got bunions, you know, you know. So all of that side, I just
absolutely,
absolutely. Okay, that's my answer.
Okay, so moving from bunions to health and well-being.
Good jump.
Yeah, bit of a jump. Tell us about what well-being means to you. It's quite a diverse word, and also how it applies to yourself and your adult students.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, one of the lovely ways of teaching Silver Swans is that I get to dance all the time, because they do like to have somebody to follow, and I'm sure probably other Silver Swans teachers would find the same. So it does mean that I have to keep myself on my toes. And I have been teaching over the years, and I'm not a spring chicken, as you can tell. So it does help me, not only just going to the class, but because, say, once a week or twice a week that we're involved, it does mean that you think about your posture, you think, and that sort of goes into the whole life style, really. I did mention, I think, as well, and I probably will come back to it in a minute, but the book that I've just published, which is Dance for Your Life, and one of the chapters is dance and health conditions and health and well-being. And I'm not saying that ballet has to be something that we need to do, but any dance forms, and something, and probably health and well-being that you will also think about, is that our brains as well, we need to keep active. And for people to start learning something new, if they haven't learned it before, or go back to it, it is something that we have to use our brains to do, and that's brilliant from the point of view of health and well-being, as well as our physical health, the mental health.
Yes, you're absolutely right there. The memory is very important, stretching that memory muscle as we get older. And I'm sure that dancing really improves that. In fact, just funnily, recently, I texted a teacher who was talking about the Breton dance that we did in.
Oh, yes.
And she couldn't think of the ending of it. And she was thinking the last 4 bars, and I seem to remember they were heel springs going backwards, down into a clap, and then up to show off your Breton hat. She said, Samantha, what an amazing memory you've got. So I'm sure that dance does really improve our memory. I don't know if you remember that one, Sue. Do you?
I do, definitely, absolutely. Definitely teaching it, absolutely, a lot.
So that was years ago. So, you know, I think that's brilliant. Brilliant.
I think I've been through about 3 different syllabus.
Yes, absolutely. And for this reason, you know, it's always changing. It is difficult for us teachers to sort of keep up with everything sometimes. So I want to move on to your Silver Swan group. So let's just talk about that and then finish off with the new range of dance genres that the RAD are thinking perhaps of introducing. But let's go back to your Silver Swans. So how long ago did you start them, and what do you find they're inspired to do mostly? You know, how do you find the Silver Swans classes and do you teach them?
Okay, so I returned back here. I was teaching full-time in Florida for the Sarasota Ballet School, and returned back here sort of during COVID, and was here for a little while. And then I decided I'd like to do, I'd talked about Silver Swans before and thought about it, but never been in the right country to actually take the Silver Swans registration. But here, lo and behold, comes up one in Australia, Sydney, on Zoom. So I didn't have to go to Sydney, but I did do the course and the registration through a Zoom registration course, and it was led from Sydney. So that meant that I could then be registered and start to think about it, which was excellent. So I then did one little flyer. I wasn't sure how it would go in Sudbury, in our little town here, but and did a flyer, and I put it on something called Next Door, which is like something that a local thing. And I started getting some people interested, and it's gone from strength to strength, really. And I started a second group because some of them had danced before. And as I said to you, some have never danced before. So it was good to have that two groups. And really, I haven't advertised apart from this first thing. Oh, and the newspaper did do a coverage of it at one point. So I got one or two people that way. And I still keep getting new people joining, and one or two have left because of certain circumstances. But I try to do themed, not always, but try to do a theme. For example, we were going to see Don Quixote, the Birmingham Royal Ballet. And so I started doing, there was a list about the fans and the story of the different meanings to the fans. So we did all of that. And then I did a class themed on that. And we did a dance with a fan. So I tried to do things that are sort of some interest to the ballet world, of their ballet world. And we do always do groups to go to different things. For example, the films, the live films that are on. We're lucky we have one in the town, so we can all go and watch. And then we often do, if it's an afternoon thing, we'll all go to somebody's for tea afterwards and try to make it into something interesting for that. We did a tour around the Opera House once, took a whole group to London. We also went to the RAD headquarters, so we try and do things around that, so it's not just the class.
No.
So I don't know.
You're based in where are you based, Sue?
In Suffolk.
Oh, okay. So you're not specifically nearer to Birmingham, are you? Or
no, we are nearer to Cambridge.
Oh,
that sort of
area. So that sort of thing. Okay,
so and I hear north of London, so
right,
near
north of London. And with regards the I think recently we all had to fill out a survey, or we didn't have to, but it's optional. But there was quite a few questions, weren't there, on the RAD introducing new genres of dance, as syllabi. What are your thoughts as a Life member, particularly over all these years, that they're sort of changing their tune?
Yes. Are you talking about Silver Swans or the RAD in general?
No, I'm talking now actually about the RAD in general, I think.
Yes, okay. Well, I do think there are certain things that would be nice alongside the RAD, whether we would all have to qualify to do it. Tap, for example, I mean, I have taught a little tap, but I'm not very good. And, those sorts of things. I think the contemporary side is a natural part, because the free movement sort of goes towards contemporary anyway. Yes. So I could see the contemporary being perhaps some way of making some inclusion with that, but I'm not quite sure how. But I think that probably would marry reasonably well.
Yes, yes.
But I've also would love to think that perhaps the Benish notation could be involved on the lower grades. For example, not snippets, but a small, which I think might be happening. I don't know, but. So, for example, when they're doing grade 1 or grade 2 or grade 3, that maybe there's a Benish little exam that they could do alongside, which might suit some children who are more academic and would like to be involved in that, but on a simplified version, obviously, that covers the sort of steps that they're doing. And I think that side would be really interesting. And it could be done aside. It didn't have to be in the ballet class, for example, because we run out of time, don't we?
Yeah.
In ballet classes.
Just to add to that conversation, recently doing the masters, it was about creative imagination and the contribution to mental health and well-being, being imaginative. And I remember the spontaneous in the exam where they played a piece of music and you spontaneously got up and danced to it. But, I don't know when they withdrew that, but I kind of felt that was a really key part for choreographers developing and people like myself who love to create.
Yes, it was really good. However, there are some children that would find it really difficult.
You do have to help them with that.
Yes, absolutely. So, but definitely the other thing we used to do was music.
Timing.
Beat your timing. I think that was part. And then I think a little bit of walking with posture, I seem to remember, long way back. But yes, it's difficult to think of how within the syllabus, because the syllabus is obviously, we have to be able to teach that and be able to try to perhaps manage to teach that to children that come once a week or twice a week or whatever, you designate.
Now, I would like to say, Sue, if you could send me the link to your book, or at least where people can buy it, I will put it in the next newsletter.
Yes.
And that will go out to, a goodly list of people across the globe. So hopefully you can deliver abroad, can't you?
It's actually available on Amazon.
Yes.
Worldwide. So, and I know that it's been bought in Australia, in Canada, although they're waiting for it in Canada. I don't know why. America, definitely. I think somebody in Hawaii as well. So it is definitely, good. And of course in the UK.
Yes,
although
absolutely.
again, the UK is a bit slow on delivering, and I don't understand why, but there you go.
Well, you've been an absolute star, Sue, and it's been lovely to meet you. Very relaxed interview, and just so nice to meet you. And you look very perky. Don't look like a life member at all. Right. Okay.
I've been a life member for a lot of time. I'm going to just show you this. Can I do that?
Dance for your life. It's lovely. In fact, it's better if you hold it down like that. Yes, absolutely. And this ends our lovely interview. So I shall bid you goodbye and thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.